It's so good to meet you.
It's so good to meet you too. You're so sweet to make the time for us, and we're excited to talk to you about everything. But yeah, I'm the one pregnant with her baby.
Y'all. It's wild. I know. It's like, I don't know how much you know our story, and we're pinching ourselves. We have our 20-week appointment
it's on Wednesday.
Wednesday, and we get to see the anatomy scan and stuff, and it's like, I'm still like pinching myself. And yeah, we're just so excited.
Yeah. That is like the biggest gift. I just like,
I know.
can't get over it. I think, oh my gosh, I feel like I called my sister like last week, and then I was like, I don't remember what I was going to tell you. And I think that was it. Like this coming in my head.
I know. I was thinking like next, if you ever come back on, we should totally have your twin on, so we could do like a twin on twin.
Oh my gosh. She would love that. She's so like not in this world. So I feel like that'd be amazing. Cause she
we're honestly, we aren't either. We aren't either. We are like, that's why we're like, we were thinking about how to record our story and make sure that we were like in it, and we were like, let's do podcasting because then we don't have to show our faces too much.
Yeah, we're just like two normal people, but we were like, let's record this story because it's so cool, and I want to document it because it's like unreal, and I'm still like reeling at like the gift of this, all of it. But we decided to make this podcast to record it. But we should have your twin on. We could do like twin on twin podcast.
I know. So much fun. Oh my god.
It would be so fun. Yeah. Well, we're super excited. I mean, Sarah's a cancer survivor, so we've been through a lot with her health. Wild. And so, everybody, I think your twin or you guys relate to this, but people say that, oh, it's such a big gift. Like, I can't believe you're doing that. And I'm like, well, duh, of course I am. Like, when you're twins, especially like,
our mom obviously, like, you can put yourself in this shoes because like your mom obviously has twins, but my mom, when we brought this to her, we're like, okay, like I really want to give Charlotte a sibling. We're going to try IVF and surrogacy. Kathy really wants to be my surrogate. We were like telling her, she was like trying to wrap, she still calls it like a test tube, but she doesn't know
that's what
the
my
process.
Mm-hmm.
We were like,
she does? Oh,
yeah. We were like, Mom, no one calls it that anymore. We love you. But Kathy put it really good. She was like, Mom, like if Sarah needed a kidney, like I would give her a kidney. Like she just happens to need my uterus. And I was like, I think that clicked in my mom's mind because she was like, okay, like I get it now. Like this is a way Kathy can, use her body in such a great way. I don't know.
Well, I think too, even with just like IVF, like people who don't, like your mom or whoever is just unfamiliar with the medical intervention of that. Yes. It's like, it helps to say like, well, we have other medical interventions like chemo or giving someone a kidney that we don't really blink an eye on. This is just newer, you know?
That's so true. So wait, I can't remember if we were talking about this, but we're twins. We're in vitro babies. So yes. Okay.
We know. So your mom's very comfortable with it. Okay. Yes. I remember that now. Sarah told me that you guys were talking about
I think we talked about this because I was like, oh, how cool is that? Like we have so much to talk about. IVF and the twin thing.
Wild. I know.
So crazy.
So cool. But I don't know if we call it test tube babies is that what it used to be called back then?
I feel like the very first in vitro baby.
Because our parents were like baby boomer era, like I feel like they didn't really
know. IVF is 40 years old, so it's not that it's not that old.
Our doctor's like oldest IVF baby is 38. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, because I can't remember if we talked about this, but we were like my parents were the first one to try guided ultrasound aspiration or something.
Wow. What? No, we didn't know that.
Way to go for them.
Like,
it worked.
I'm 32 and like his baby is 38. Like I was like, that's just so crazy.
That is so crazy. Yeah. We were just talking about recently that I think it was on the Today Show or whatever, where they were talking about the embryo that had been frozen for like 20 years, right?
It was like a 27-year-old embryo who was born this year.
Wow.
Wait, how did that happen? Like in the mom's, like the mom, or was it adopted?
I feel like
it was adopted embryo.
Yeah, it was like they got it was an embryo donor, I guess, that they got that had been frozen for like 20 something years. And the baby was born this year.
That is literally insane.
Isn't that wild?
Oh my gosh, I want to look up that story. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, we are going to talk about IVF. We're going to ask you questions about IVF,
Perfect.
but we're just going to start kind of at the top, if that's okay.
Yes.
Yes, you're so sweet to do this. And I'm like, you're in California, right? Like this background, and your day is so pretty.
Oh my gosh. Wait, where are y'all again? South?
We're in Nashville, and actually today, Nashville has crazy weather, but today is like gorgeous. So
it's really pretty,
which is not usual.
I love it. Yeah, it's been so pretty. We've been like outside getting sun, and we're like, what month is it?
Is it summer?
That's good. Are things feeling still any back to normal at all in California?
I feel like a little bit. I feel like we're still like wearing masks and things like that, but it does feel more normal. Like we had a little Easter get together with like 15 people, and then like we went to our friends yesterday, or like we did that on Saturday, and then our friends had one yesterday with like the same amount of people, and we're like, I mean,
this feels like
crazy, but it feels
like a big group.
Yeah, and I feel like we've had COVID, so we have the antibodies for a little while longer.
Good.
But everyone just felt great and like safe. So I feel like that feels more like normal. Good. What is it like there? Do y'all still have to wear a mask? Like
we have the mask mandate still, but I think we're probably a little bit looser than California. Like we can go to a restaurant and sit there and sit down. You just have to wear your mask like
walking
around. Yeah.
I actually live one county south of Sarah. So I live in Franklin. She lives in Nashville, and we don't have the mask mandate anymore.
Yeah, Kathy's more like towards the country, and I'm in the city. And so like I'm mask wearing and like she's not. So
yes. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Okay. I have to point out, so obviously we were so excited about this interview with you, and we remember your accident. We read your book.
We did.
And years ago, but we were doing some research, obviously, because we're like type A OCD. We're like, let's do some research for the interview. We figured out there were some kind of crazy similarities.
What are they?
Yeah. Okay. So you guys twins, you're a twin, we're twins.
Yep.
We were born in Texas, so we have Texas roots. Ooh. You grew up in Texas.
Where in Texas?
We grew up in Abilene.
You know where that is?
Yeah, of course.
Actually, we fly into Dallas all the time and then drive to Abilene. But your husband shares our birthday on December 11th.
No.
Isn't that crazy?
I looked at that really is crazy.
I was like, Jason has our birthday.
We were just researching. We're like, oh my gosh. And actually, I've never met anyone that's had December 11th as a birthday. And I was like, I feel like this is divine.
That is like wild, truly.
I know.
It's really wild.
I love that. I'm gonna give y'all every time on Jason's birthday.
Joint birthday. We're free if he wants to. Okay, so let's dive in.
Yeah.
So, okay, Lauren. So many people have followed along with your journey and your accident in 2011. From there, you've built this like incredible life. I really feel like it's a story of like overcoming and hope and strength. You've been pretty outspoken and put it out there with like your healing journey, even your relationship with Jason Kennedy, and then also your IVF journey, which we'll talk about. But you guys are 100% goals. We are obsessed, and we just admire you both. So we're really excited to dive in today.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. This is so fun.
It's so fun. And I did mention this, but we read your first book, Still Lolo, and we loved it. We loved the background that your family was involved, because a lot of our ups and downs have been like our family so involved in it. So I love that you included that. So we really enjoyed it. I read it legit in one sitting, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
good.
And I loved reading about like your backstory, even like pre-accident. So I have to say this because you worked on the set of Gossip Girl, and I also had a New York internship around that same time. I worked for a furniture designer, Andriana Shamaris, and she had her shop on Green Street, and they would shut down Green Street and film Gossip Girl.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And the set of Gossip Girl would come into the store and I would help her like pick out stuff for the set. So when I was reading that, I was like, what did we like? That's so crazy. And so I would sit on the steps of the stoop on Green Street and watch them film Gossip Girl. And so I kind of loved reading your backstory of New York. So like kind of took me back. I loved that.
We have crazy similar. I bet we've like crossed paths and we've had no idea.
I know. Isn't that wild?
That's so,
oh
my gosh. I love it. That's so fun too.
I know. I was like, that was like my favorite summer ever.
Oh
but
it's the best. I'm moving because the wind keeps like getting my hair. It's like tickling.
Move. Yeah. Me too.
Okay, sorry.
You're so cute. Okay. But you're clearly super creative. You kind of paved the way for the blogging world, like before it was like really blew up. But I want to talk about something that you're doing now that I noticed is interiors. I saw that we can like shop and tour your home. So before we go back down like memory lane, I want to talk about that what you're doing now. So can you tell us about that?
Yes. Oh man, that was just like completely random because let's see. I'm so bad with time because I feel like this year, I'm like, what was this last year? We sold our house, our initial house that we bought right after we got married in Studio City, like 2 years ago, I think. And moved out and we found a house out a little outside the city, and it's like very nature driven and like it's like the Malibu mountains, so we're like on the mountainside, but we can drive like 15 minutes to the beach. And it was just such an experience. So first of all, I had no idea like what I was getting into. And we had an unfortunate experience with a designer helping us. But I feel like I'm like psycho when it comes to projects. Like I have like spreadsheets and like documents and like everything.
You're in good company.
Yeah. We've like color coded everything for this meeting.
Oh my gosh, that makes me so happy. So I was like, what can I do? Like, tell me about, like, I just tried to do as much research prior to, but we also sold the house and then we moved into a hotel for what we thought would be like 1 or 2 months, and it ended up being 8. And so we ended up moving it into an apartment with our really close couple friends because we all needed like a spontaneous 6-month stay, and we were like trying to save money because we were like doing all this. So we had so much fun. It was like during the summer and we were like, what are we doing?
Really
like,
fun. Yeah.
It was so fun. But all that to say, we were like kind of on a like time frame. Like we're like, we have to finish this at this point just because for so many reasons. And so I really like had to learn how to do a lot on my own process. And thankfully we had an amazing contractor and all of that, but like design wise, I had to learn how to make the decisions myself, and just like I basically would get like information on where to source them, and then it turned into the silver lining. I was telling Jason this a while ago, but just like how it developed this passion in me I didn't know was there. And then we worked with this amazing designer after for furniture, but I feel like it was more of a collaborative experience where I learned so much from like, okay, this is how you fill this space. How are you going to use this room? And then she would like send furniture pieces and I'd be like, I think I like this and this better, because it almost like shaped how to like fill a room. I don't know how to describe that, but it was just so fun. And then during COVID, I feel like we all had so much extra time. I know every story is different, but I just like dove into finding and like learning about how to create a home and like finding pieces from small companies. And I just became like so in love with doing that because they're just the most amazing small companies that I don't think I would have known about. Like we didn't go into COVID because I wouldn't have had that time to like really search and be inspired. So it developed just this whole passion. And we're actually in the middle of starting a build on another house.
Oh, exciting.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just for like it's like an investment purpose, but in a place that we love. And so I'm just gonna do it all myself, like all the materials.
Yes. Well, you were super productive with your COVID time. For sure.
You really were.
I know, it's like that worked out kind of great because we had to be inside, but we were like doing stuff inside. So it worked
and
out.
that is like, that's so my world. Like, I love that so much. And what I love too about you putting your home tour on there, I think a lot of people, like, it's if they're tackling a project like that on their own, like it's hard for them. They can see a piece they like, but it's hard for them to visualize it in like a space. And so I hope you document like this new build, because it's like that people are gonna love to see that. I mean, yeah, that's super cool.
Out of state, and I actually reached out to this really, it's like a mother-daughter. They're so cute, but I've just learned a lot from looking at their things. But I always need help like making my final decision. I'm like, can y'all help me? Like, I have it all organized, but like, can you help me do this? But it's out of state, so I'm curious like how much I'll be.
Oh, you might have to do it all over Zoom. So I am in the design industry, and over COVID was wild. We had to do like site walkthroughs through Zoom, and like I would do like site walkthroughs, via FaceTime. So you might have to do some things like that, I guess, if it's out of state. But hey, whatever works.
Why you do that? And I feel like that'd be really hard to like actually see everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Remote is never great, but hey, I feel like we've all just, when push comes to shove, we just like made it work.
Totally. That's incredible. I love that.
We're excited to follow along though on this new venture that you have for sure.
Okay, Lauren, we have to touch on your accident. It's been 10 years, right?
It's so great. Almost in December, it'll be 10 years, which is just wild.
That is so wild. Like, so it's a huge part of your story. Like I said, it's such a story of strength and triumph. You've been known to say that your accident has brought you like a lot of good things. So I want you to shed some light on like how you think it's changed your life and maybe like your outlook on life.
Yeah, I feel like I was talking to a friend about this weekend, but it like really brings so much purpose in actually living and also relating to people in ways that I feel like I never could have related to people. I tell a lot of people, like before my accident, I lived in my like happy little bubble, and I had gone through some things just with our family. Like they were divorced for 7 years while we were growing up, and then they got remarried to each other. So I experienced like, pain in some ways, but not like physical, personal pain. And so it just, it made me like so much more aware and like opened my eyes so much to that. But also, just relationships, whether it was through doctors, my prosthetists, girls that I like work alongside we're all just like really good friends now. But Bethany Hamilton and I started this retreat like 8 years ago, where every year we have usually about like 20 girls that have lost a limb or born without. So it could be arm, leg, or both, or all the above. But these girls are just like insanely amazing. And we just have friendships across the country, which is just it's like the sweetest gift. And then I met my husband through my accident, which is like the biggest gift. And you just get like our family just got even closer. We're so close already, but it like made my faith stronger, made our relationship stronger. So so many blessings.
I love that. And I think we can so relate to that. I know I can relate to that from like just being a cancer survivor. And then like you mentioned, connecting with girls all over the world. Like I connected with a lot of girls overseas. Like my diagnosis was so rare. Like I connected with girls overseas that have gone through it. And they're like they're one of my best friends today. It's crazy.
Because you can like connect in a way that other people can't understand because it's like an experience thing. So it's just like so beautiful. I love that you have that.
Yeah. I feel like too, like that happened. You have two choices. You have like one choice to be, to dwell on it and for it to drag you down. And then another choice to strengthen your faith, like you said. And so it's incredible, the foundation and the camp you're doing to encourage and bring confidence to these girls is fantastic.
And I feel like Bethany and I started it to like, I don't know, we were like, I feel like this will be good for all of us. And then we all are together and we're like, I feel like there's like leaders, but like not, because everyone's just so, I don't know, everyone's just on the same page, like have gone through the craziest things. And
you're like, we needed this just as much as they needed this.
Oh my gosh, like 100%.
So will you guys get to do camp this year?
Yes. So we couldn't do it last year, obviously. But yeah, we're doing it this year in October. So we're so excited.
Oh, that's really good news, I bet, for all of you guys.
That's awesome.
And when was your cancer diagnosed? Like, when did you go through all that? Just out of curiosity.
Oh my goodness. Let's see. Summer of 2018. So my diagnosis was related to my pregnancy. And so I have one daughter. She's almost 4. So I was diagnosed, had to do chemo, then the hysterectomy. So, anyway.
So she's almost 2 years cancer free.
Yeah. So from diagnosis, it's been 3 years. I lost my hair. So like, if you can see, my hair is like,
it's cute.
It's like, how do you make it work? But, it's wild. It's like, you probably relate to this too. It's like, I feel like it just happened, but yet I feel like it was like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And you're a different person, and we're so grateful. And now we're on this like crazy, amazing surrogacy journey. So Kathy and I were talking to one of our best friends the other day. We're like, it's so amazing to go to the hospital for like good reasons versus like, I had like some trauma anxiety when we had our first OB appointment, because that's where everything started for me.
Wow.
And Kathy's helped me through that a lot, but it's really sweet and like full circle moment that we can go to the hospital and we can pull into that like parking garage and it be like something joyful. So
it's crazy too. It's almost like therapeutic to live through the like fear or like the pain point, and just when you like do it, then it becomes like healing, I guess, rather than scary. Or I'm sure fear can pop up for sure, but
I mean, it's such a good point. I think especially for us, this journey has been really healing. And as much as I didn't realize it would be, like, this, like trauma is it's not linear. It's kind of like always up and down. But this experience has been like really healing and brought like new emotions, but also stuff that I think that we have dealt with as a family. It's been really great. We're just like so thankful.
How far along are you?
I'm 21 weeks this week.
Gosh.
Yeah.
And has it been going good? Like, do you feel good?
Oh, you're so sweet to ask. It really has been great. This is my 3rd pregnancy. I have I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old at home. Oh. And so I really think this has been my easiest one.
I was honestly so nervous that she was going to be like sick as a dog. Cause I'm like, every second I'm like, are you doing okay? Are you fine? Cause I'm like, I don't have to experience it. Like I like kind of hated being pregnant, to be honest. It was like a horrible experience, but I just wanted to make sure she was okay. But
I have loved all of it, which is why I signed up. I was like, I love it. I just didn't want another human to really like take care of. So it was like best case scenario. But I think the benefit of IVF compared to my other pregnancies is that I knew it was coming. Like I had a year to prepare my body, and I was taking vitamins, and I'm a registered dietitian by trade and specialize in women's health. So I was like, it was just meant to be, kind of. I had obviously no plan for this, nor did I ever want to be in this position. But now that I am, of course, I wouldn't choose anything different. But I think it's been an easier pregnancy because I had time to prepare and my body had time to plan. And
my husband's like, if we could have hand selected somebody to like keep our baby safe and like feed our baby, it would be Kathy, because 1, she's going to be the aunt, and 2, just like her literal career is to help women going through IVF to like nourish their bodies. So we're always like, baby Sharp is getting being well fed. So
yes. Oh my gosh, you have to like teach me some of that when we get the implantation.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we do want to update on that, but we wanted to talk about your accident first before we, finish on the high note.
Yes.
So we've already recorded intro. You don't have to go into all the things that had happened, but one thing that I thought was interesting when I read your book is that you said before your accident, you had like a premonition that something was going to happen, maybe like a gut feeling. So I would love to know more about that. And also, have you always been that way, like connected with your intuition like that?
I don't know. It's hard to tell because what's interesting is I like always was a really fearful kid. I think just because of like the separation of our parents, even though it was like what I call like a very healthy, it's like the divorce you would want to be in if you're going through a divorce as a child, as a child. Just because our parents are both like so amazing and prioritize us and yeah, so I feel like just the like separation of parents made me like imaginative and like scared just as a little
Like
kid.
aware of
Yeah. Yeah. But it was like silly fears that like would never happen. But like maybe it's part of creativity too. Where you have that. But I remember journaling. I was journaling like a lot at that time and I was just starting my website and I felt like just when I would be like praying through it and stuff, I feel like it was like something big is really about to happen. And in my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, like I was thinking like career or I didn't really know, but it was like exciting. And it was crazy to read back on that. That was like a couple days before this happened. And then, yeah. And then when I was in the plane, I feel like I'm very aware of like what the fear is when it's not realistic, when it's just like imaginative and created. And this was like a solid like something is about to happen. And I just remember like so vividly like holding on to the side and just like praying and being like, God, I trust you. And like I don't know what's about to happen, but it was just this like silent like thing that was just going on that I was like, in my head I was like, I guess we're gonna crash. Like that's the only like bad thing of. And we were in a little 2-seater plane, so just two of us. But we landed and I still like did not feel relieved, which is just so wild. And then I got out and that all happened, which is just so sweet.
Oh my gosh. Do you remember anything from like after you stepped out of the plane or is it all a blur?
I don't even remember stepping out of the plane. And I've like done a lot of really deep counseling over the years. And in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, am I going to start remembering things? Or is this just something that will never like come to me or like return to me? Cause I'm like, I know my body knows what happened. And yeah, I've never remembered anything. And I'm actually doing this really cool therapy right now. It's called Neurokinetic Therapy, but it's very like specific to scars and just like making sure your body's like flowing as it should. It's really cool.
Ooh, cool. Wow. That's really cool. We just recorded an episode. It's coming out tomorrow on our podcast about healing and recovery. And Sarah talks about EMDR.
I was going to say, recovery. You mentioned trauma. Like, I think like a sweet way that our bodies help heal is that we like cut out some memories or something. I did EMDR therapy, which really helped me, but
I did too.
But speaking of trauma and everything, so guys listening, for the people listening, you're gonna have to read Lauren's book and to get all the info on like her healing and the accident and everything. But Lauren, for the recovery and healing, I know for me, I wasn't really prepared for like the aftermath of like the ups and downs of recovery. And I know your family was there for you a lot. And like, so I kind of want to know like, what was the hardest part of your healing? And like, how were you able to get yourself out of that, like, the ups and downs of the healing? Like, what did you do to heal?
Yes, that's such a good question. I think there's several things, but I think just processing what had happened, because I more like woke up. I wasn't really aware for about 2 weeks, I think, in the hospital, but was just on such heavy medication. That's why. So when I started going off of my pain medications, which was pretty soon after, is when it all started hitting me. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so insane. So I think processing that, but also I was at this rehab right after, and it was, so my story like became very like well known the night of, and I like had no idea for a while until I started going outside and people were coming up to me, and I was asking my parents, like, I know I look injured, like I have half my head is shaved and I have an eye patch and have a huge bandage on my arm, but I'm like, this I was like, this feels like kind of weird. And they were like, okay, so we're gonna start showing you little segments here and there, and kind of explained to me. So I think it was like also processing that my story was like very like out there, and almost with like without my permission or my parents' permission, you know, it was just like very crazy. So the rehab that I was going to, they would like not let me do normal things because there were like paparazzi people that like came and they would like follow me.
That's so hard.
Yeah.
Feeling publicly is like, I haven't even like, I just am thinking about that. Like, it's so wild.
It was so crazy. And so they would like guard me from doing a lot. And I remember like crying one day to my parents, and my dad's like, I am coming with you, like to see what's going on. Like, what are you talking? Like, he didn't know what I was so upset about. And he comes in with me. He was just like there, I don't know for how long. And I was like pumping the people. I'm like, guys, all right, we're going to go down the hall. And we're going to do this. Cause there's people that had had strokes that were around my age, but I was just so bored, like in my rehab.
Oh my God.
So that was like really hard for me because I'm like, I know myself and I have to be challenged to heal. And so I ended up transitioning to this place called Athletes Performance. It's Exos now, but it's with like minor, major baseball players and then football as well. And it was like probably 20 guys. And they just go to like train for combine and stuff like that. But they became like my brothers, and I just felt like so challenged by my physical therapist, who was also a trainer. So it just felt more like I was in the real world, and I didn't feel like so separated from things. And I feel like they protected me a lot there, just as a company. Or
good.
But yeah, that was like a highlight. And I feel like that's what really got me out of the like almost the like, I don't want to say the sadness, or because that all comes and goes like over time, but more of like gave me like a drive.
Yeah, like pulled you out of your headspace and like got you motivated, sort of speak.
That's such a good way to say it. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, they would like celebrate little things with me. They'd be like, whoa, you just did this day. This is insane. But like not in a way that made me feel like, I don't know how to describe it. They just made me feel so like normal going through rehab, and like they would like, we would all celebrate each other's stuff. And
I love that.
So, I bet too, having a personal trainer who's like in that space, you're celebrating like the strength and the growth of your body rather than your limitations too.
Yeah.
That's such a good way to put it. Oh my gosh, it's so true. And they would like challenge me to the point where I was like, I can't breathe. Like, this is so hard. But it was all the stuff that I wanted to do. Like, it was just so cool how they incorporate that. So it was such a gift during that time. But yeah, also just meeting people that had gone through similar things, and then just realizing, oh wow, I can do all the things I was doing before. Some things might look a little different, but it just it was a learning process. But I actually like started really enjoying the challenge of, okay, how do I like round brush my hair again, and like how do I you know, wash dishes and things like that. And just, it's crazy how your body adapts like so fast.
Wow. So cool. That's so incredible. It's so inspiring for sure. Because it is, a lot of it is about willpower and just deciding, I'm going to learn how to round brush my hair. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. And I love what you just said, because it's like, sometimes when something happens in life and your life looks a little bit different, you just have to learn how to adapt and kind of like rise above. That's why we're so excited to have you on this podcast. We're like, she embodies like everything we're like trying to say. But that was such a good way to put it. So,
and the craziest thing, Jace, I remember we were dating at the time, and it was like the one thing I couldn't figure out how to do with brown brushing my hair.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy. And my roommate, she's my best friend. She's like so good at all those things. And we would try to figure out, we're like, it's still just not working like the same. And I went to this birthday party with Jason. I was out in LA, and he had worked with this lady for like years and had no idea she had a prosthetic arm for like 8 years. It was something like crazy.
What?
And she asked for help one morning with like buttering her bagel. And he was like, no, butter your own bagel. And she was like, I have a prosthetic arm. And he was like, oh my God, like, what? Of course I will butter your bagel. And he was like, wait, how have I never known this? This is insane. And it just was like really realistic looking. And I saw her and met her at the party, and I looked at her and I was like, you round brush your hair? And she was like, I do. I do. And I was like, you have to teach me how you do this. So she sent me a video, and from that point on, I like knew how to round brush my hair. So it's just so cool, like how you like unexpected little moments like that, you know?
I love that. That's one that's really funny on Jason's part, and that's hilarious. But like number 2, can she teach me to round brush my hair? Because like I still can't. Like I've given up. So
yes, it is like, yeah, it's kind of, you have to like get into your little routine, and then you've got it, you know?
I know.
But
now
really
that now that I have hair again, I'm like, I found my curling iron the other day, and I was like, I legit like don't remember how to use this thing, but I'm excited.
Yeah,
I have hair now.
Great.
Jason also seems like such a nice guy. Like he probably was like, he would never say that to somebody on purpose.
Look at us acting like we know him. We're like, he's such a nice guy.
Oh my gosh, he really is. No, he's so, if he like likes you, he'll like joke with you like that. So he was totally just like joking with her, and then he was like, oh my God, wait.
Oh my God.
So
butter your own bagel.
Yeah. She's like, well, please
help me. Well, we wanted to know, definitely, since we're talking about Jason, we want to know more about you guys. So you guys started dating after your accident, right?
Yeah. So this is actually another crazy thing, but like, okay, so one of our closest friends is Juliana Rancic, who he co-hosted with and just worked with for like years. And they're like brother and sister. They're like the same human, but like boy and girl. They're so cute. And so I had met her like very briefly at the Fashion Week in September. So my accident was in December.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just so briefly, like I don't even think she would remember. She was like in her own little world. And I was like, just met her, talked to her really fast. I like never really know who people are in like the industry, or like I just don't know. I'm not good with like faces and names, and I just don't spot people. But I like knew her because I had watched her show, and I was like, I just like respect her so much, and she has so much skill and just seems so like just like such a good person. And so I was excited to meet her. So fast forward to like a month after my accident, she tweeted me like a private message, and she was like, I just went through breast cancer. So she, come to find out, she had just found out that she had breast cancer like a day before I met her. And she was like in her own, like she didn't tell anyone around her. So she was like processing it in her mind, like when we met. And then she reached out in that the next January. And she was like, I was watching your story on the Today Show, and I was like healing in the hospital from my surgery. And I told my husband, Bill, like, she reminds me of myself at her age, because I was just like interviewing a few people just for my blog. And she was like, I want to reach out just to like encourage her. So we just started talking on the phone, and she was so vulnerable with her story. And in like November of that year, or like a little before, she was like, I would love to interview you if you feel comfortable. And I was like, I would actually love that, because I just felt such like more of a personal connection with her. And she introduced me to Jason. So it was about a year after my accident. But it was just such a crazy like mix of events.
Yes, that is so cool.
I love that.
And like weird how life works like that.
I know, so wild.
And your body and your mind had gone through so much. Was it like, how did that help you gain confidence and hope back to be in a relationship where you're feeling like loved and accepted? Like,
I bet that played a role in your healing too.
For sure. Because one of my biggest fears was just like, a guy is gonna think this is so weird. Like I have one hand and like one eye and like, I don't know. It's just like a natural thought in your head. And so I remember meeting Jason. This was the other crazy thing. So he, now that I know him, he like gets super invested into like random stories. And he was like that with my story, where he would just like follow every second of like updates. And he had reached out to interview me, but like, I don't know what happened with those requests. And so we met on set and it was Friday, and he was like, I'm going on a hike tomorrow with my like really close friend. If you and your mom want to come, just like text me, and like wrote me this piece of paper with a few things on it, like where to eat and where to hike, and his number at the end. It was like, just text me if you're interested in going. And
so sweet.
So my mom and I got up like earlier because they lived out here for like 7 years, so she knows this area really well, and she was like, let's go hiking. And it was really foggy, so we're like, let's go to breakfast first. And I was like, should I text Jason, or is that weird? Because I'm like kind of southern in that way. Like I'm like, I just don't like usually text guys unless they're like my friends. And so she's like, yeah, why not? He was like so sweet. And so I texted him, and we ended up meeting them to go hiking. And just like our conversation the whole time, I was like, wow, he's like an amazing person, but neither of us were thinking of it as like a like love type thing. He was just like, I think had a lot of things he wanted to just ask me because of his own like OCD like reporting stuff. He's like, okay, tell me like how healing, and but just so precious. And his friend Ryan, who's just so funny, and now that I just know him so well now, but he was like tearing up after my mom and I left. We ended up meeting at their house because there's like not service in the canyon, and he was tearing up, and Jason was like, are you crying? And he was like, yes, I just feel like you and Lo could be so great together. And he was like, oh yeah, I actually can kind of see that. And so that's when things started. And so we long distance dated for like a year, but it was like really fast, where we just like knew.
You like knew you were meant to be together. Oh, I just love that so much.
Yes, but it's a very vulnerable. It was very vulnerable, like especially the first 6 months of. I just remember I like would not show him my arm. Like I would always have my prosthetic arm on, and we were on a trip with my sister and her husband, and Jason's like, you literally, it's time. Like it's been 6 months, and my sister was like, Lo, you need to show me your arm.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I'm so nervous. I'm like sweating. It's just so vulnerable for me. But I remember, yes, which seems so. Oh, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me now? You just glitched for like a second. Can you hear us?
You're good. Yeah.
You just glitched for like a second. Can you hear us now?
Hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Uh-oh.
Can you hear us?
Oh, I hear you. Okay, sorry.
We're here. Yeah. We're here.
You just like, did we freeze?
Yes.
You just glitched for like a tiny second.
Okay, perfect. But I remember we were like back up in the room, and my sister and her husband were fell asleep. They were like taking a nap out in the like main little area, and I was like, Kim, I like call my sister Birdie, but her name is Brittany. But I was like, can Birdie come in here with me, like while I show you my arm? And he was like, no, this is between us. He was like, what is it here? Are you afraid that I won't love you anymore? Like, what is it? And I was like, I don't know. And I like took off my arm and just like immediately covered it up. And he was like, you know what? I want you to just hold my hand, and we're just gonna sit here and chill. And I was like,
God. Wait, is he the sweetest person in the whole world? Like, that's so kind.
Yes. And he was just like, I love this arm more than your other arm. And like, I just like love you so much, and thank you for like trusting me with like showing me. And it just like truly like took so many walls down just on my end. And then I like showed him my eye, which is just so weird. It's just weird. Like you never think. I didn't show him that day, but it was like a few months down. But it just makes you so close, and like kind of weeds out all the not good guys.
Yeah, it does. And like crying, like that's the sweetest thing ever.
I know. That's what true love is, though. It's like no matter what you look like, no matter, you know, what fears you have, it's like someone comforting and walking you through that rather than making you feel.
Yeah, it's like I always say, like bad. Love is like vulnerable, you know, like, and that's, I love that story. Thank you for telling. So sweet.
Yes.
Oh my God.
You're welcome.
So you guys are so precious. He's incredible. So y'all have been pretty open about your IVF journey on social media, which we praise because Sarah, she didn't announce it until that I was her surrogate until we were like through the first trimester. So egg retrieval, all this stuff. So we really think it's so incredible that you guys being in the public eye have decided to bring people into this because it really helps people not feel alone who are going through it. Yeah. So tell us about that. How did you guys decide to do that kind of publicly?
It's kind of funny because it wasn't even like a conversation or decision. I remember like coming out of our very first meeting, which I had a cyst, I think, on my ovary. I don't know why I'm so bad with the things, but
that's
like, yeah, super common. So I was on like birth control for a month, but I like come out of that appointment and he like couldn't go in with me. He still can't at this point just with COVID, but he's like videoing, he's like, tell us how it was. And I'm like, wait, okay. And I'm like telling him how it was. And he just like posted it. Like, we're not really even thinking about it. And then we were like, oh my gosh, the responses were like so precious and like eye-opening. Because I was like, I just can't believe how many people are doing this that you just have no idea, you know?
Yeah. I think, for us, we like, no one knew at all we were going through IVF. And like, if I could do it again, I think we would probably put it more public like before because people had so many questions. And I feel like for you being in the public eye, like I'm sure people were like asking you so many questions.
It was more like people that had been through it would message us and be like, it's like this kind of experience, but it's just the most rewarding thing, or just sweet messages like that. And then what's really cool too from it is there's like 3 of my friends that are like a little bit ahead of me in the process. And they just like, it's like our little community where I'm like, okay, how am I going to feel with this? Or like, how many embryos did you get? How many did I get? Like, it's just fun to like swap experiences and kind of know what's ahead, you know?
It's so helpful to have people going through it. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, where are you guys now? We know you just did egg retrieval. Give us an update on like how the journey is going, like what's ahead.
Yes. So we found out like 2 weeks ago, we have 6 healthy embryos.
Oh, congratulations.
That's so exciting.
Thanks. So there's 4 boys and 2 girls. And we literally have no idea how to like pick. We're like, how do we know? I don't know.
Sarah can probably speak to that because we had to
pick. We had to pick, but see, I already have Charlotte, and I was like, okay, well, Kathy's probably not going to want to be my surrogate like 3 times, so we're probably just going to have a girl and a boy. And Richard, you know, I think when I had my hysterectomy, he's like always wanted a son. I mean, we love Charlotte, but it was an easy, kind of an easy pick for us. But I asked my nurse that because I'm like, how do you pick?
Yeah.
And we did PGT testing, which you guys might do. We can ask you about that. But they said sometimes with people that they just pick a healthy one and they don't tell them the gender.
Yeah, I've heard that. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if y'all know.
We were talking to our doctor last week and he was like, they're all like on the same level of health because we did the same thing with genetic testing. And so we're like, oh no, we're like, we just don't know. We're like, yay, but like,
but
I know. And so we've just been joking about it because Jason's like, I want a boy. And I'm like, I want a girl. And we're just like laughing about it. But he's like, but honestly, I don't like anything is great.
Okay.
But I do love the thought of an older brother.
Oh yeah. See, we come from a family of girls and we always wanted an older brother to like look out for us, you know?
I know.
Anyway, our oldest sister kind of took over for sure. But
I
love that. So with her embryologist and her fertility doctor, they wouldn't let us transfer more than
one
embryo.
I want to ask you this because we're twins. You're twins. I literally always secretly wanted twins.
Yes.
I've always wanted twin boys. Okay. Like obviously Kathy's not going to carry twins. Our fertility doctor wouldn't, like, their whole policy was like, they wouldn't, transfer more than one embryo. Mm-hmm. So I want to know, and we want to know, like, are y'all secretly hoping for twins because you're a twin? Like, would you ever?
That would be like a dream. But okay, we asked him because I kind of wanted to do 2 embryos, or I didn't know anything or what the rules were. But our doctor's the same. He really stresses one because he was like, I guess you risk having quadruplets.
Yeah.
First pregnancy.
Yeah, you don't want to do
triplets But so we're gonna start with 1, and twins would be like a dream for me.
Right?
Because y'all know how sweet it is. It's like when you experience it, you're like, that would just be a dream. And you're like, kind of, we really want just 2 kids. So we're like, you're one and done. Like, you're good.
Yeah. Boy and girl. I don't know. 2 girls are sweet. But there is I don't know the percentage, but there's a percentage that it could split and you could still have twins, right?
I think it's pretty small.
It's small. Yes.
1%.
Like 1%. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That's really okay. It's probably not gonna
but I think they can look like, there's some embryos that look like they're maybe about 2. So maybe you have some in that, maybe that's how you pick.
Serious?
Yeah. Like, you can tell some of them.
I know some of them
have a higher percentage based on just how they look. So you should ask your embryologist that.
Oh my gosh, maybe that will help with our decision.
Yeah.
That's a great idea, Abby.
I mean,
you're an embryologist on the side.
Well, we're so excited for you guys. Please keep us updated. We are praying for that part of your story and your journey. We know that the waiting, I think, was the hardest part, like the waiting, and it's like, hurry up, wait, so I know that the sitting and the uncomfortableness, kind of like how you said after your accident, like in that discomfort is healing and difficult at the same time.
And you like can't rush it. Like, it's parallel to with, like you're saying, with healing or just with this process of IVF. It's like, you can't rush it. It is what it is.
You gotta lean into it.
Yeah.
Well, I know something else that's important to you that I wanted to ask you about, because I clearly am passionate about clean living and stuff. And you have a new version of your clean sweep coming out, which we're super excited. We'll keep an eye out for. Yes. So is that something you've always been interested in, or did it come after your accident or with IVF? Like, I know that's a really important part of fertility as well. So we would love to know more about that, like when that started for you.
Yeah. So I grew up in a very like health conscious home, which I'm so grateful for. Just like very active and all of that. I remember my mom was like eating kale before anyone knew what kale was. We're like, you were so weird. But now we're like, you're so cool.
We love her.
Yes. And she was like, I feel like she was just really ahead of the game. But more happened. So I was like really bloated in pretty much my whole life. Like, I always just think high school and college, because it was just more like obvious to me. But in college, I kind of did a elimination diet without knowing what that was. I was like, I have got to feel comfortable. I just feel so uncomfortable. And I'm like, what foods are like making me so bloated? And I got on this, like, I would just eat the same things basically every day because I found stuff that just made me feel good. And which is not the best either with like diversity in your diet, but I didn't know that at the time. But
we do better.
Yeah, so true. And no one knew much about gut health then. Like, I feel like very few people did, but it wasn't like how it is now, where it's so out in the public and you can research so much about it. So after my accident, my neurologist or my neurosurgeon told me, like, you're probably not gonna have the same, your like normal energy until like 5 years after this, just because everything's fully healing. And I'm like, okay. Oh, wow. Yeah. And I didn't really notice that in Dallas because I feel like I just lived a slower pace there. And I don't know, my roommate and like my parent, we're all just like chill and just hang at home and go to dinner every now and then, but it's just like a chill schedule. And when I moved to LA, so it was probably like 2 years after, I remember just feeling like the craziest fatigue, which I feel like now I know, I think a lot of it was like emotional just from leaving like my family and like a place that I was so connected to, especially after my accident. And I just thought to myself, I was like, there's no way if I think about this, like on year 5, I'm just going to be like bursting with energy. I'm like, there's no way, like something's just not working properly in my body.
Mm-hmm.
So I started at a naturopath and he got me on this healing plan that was incredible. I basically had like 0 energy production and was going off of adrenaline. And then so just had like slow bits of healing, and then ended up with a functional medicine doctor that just did a very like intensive gut healing for me, um, which helped me so much. And then I just am like such a researcher, so I got super into researching so much about nutrition and just like your relationship to food and clean products, because my best friend and I started this dry shampoo like a while ago. And we're working on 3 new products right now that are launching in the fall. That has been a really big process, but so rewarding. And so I feel like I just had to really hone in on like what's healthy for my head and for our hair and for our health. So it really took me on this whole journey of like whole wellness, of how much ingredients and products affect your well-being, and along with food and practices. And so we're about to launch products, which will be so fun. And I feel like you probably know this, but just how health can be like such a confusing thing to so many people because of like all the like diets that are out there and so many things. And I'm like, it actually is really simple if you like break it down and just whole foods, listening and understanding your body, and just having like, I feel like you can have very like basic education to really understand how to like feed your body and heal your body through foods and all those things. So
it is hard to weed through like all the recommendations and everything. Yes. Yeah. But it's like your body, I like that you were listening to your body. Like your body usually is telling you something. So if we listen and play around with it, like the elimination diet type of thing, usually we get to the bottom of it. That's why I started nutrition too. I like went into college at 17 knowing I wanted to be like in the health field, and it has evolved so much since then, even like the gut health topic. But it's because I was writing things. I kept a food journal for like a year and a half and like wrote all the things down that bothered my stomach. But it all evolves too. It's like then fertility comes in and we're like, oh, what are the changes we have to do for that, or healing from chemo and all of this. Like there's it's just a never ending research, which is the fun part, I think.
No, I feel like we could talk for hours on clean living and clean eating. Like Kathy, like obviously it was important to me always, but not like it was like after a cancer diagnosis. You have to be like, okay, what are the products I'm using, things I can do differently? And Kathy, like, it was kind of a godsend that like she literally is like the guru of like nutrition and healing your body. So I call you, she's my guru. But literally we actually just recorded an episode on like healing and recovery, and we talk a little bit about nutrition and like detoxing and stuff like that. But it's so important to realize that like you can literally heal from the inside out, and like, you know, what you're putting in your body matters. I feel like you could talk all day on that.
But we could talk a lot probably too about because one thing I do well, I think, is the nutrition part, but the clean products part, I love that you're doing that, because we'll stay tuned for that.
I'm excited about that.
That's something I'm continuously surprised by. I'm like, oh dang, I thought this was a good hair product. I thought this was a good skin product.
That's like a huge thing, is like greenwashing, where it like makes it sound so healthy. It's almost like with food when it's like gluten-free and you're like, amazing, it's good for me. And then you look at the ingredients and you're like, oh no, this is not good.
Yeah, you're like, is this just good marketing and branding? Like it has a green label, but is it pumped with chemicals? Like
totally. So. Yeah. I talk about that in the in this volume, just like how to research just ingredients and products just to know, but you just like get in the routine where it becomes like second nature to just really understand what's actually clean or not.
It's so important. Well, your body's going to be ready for this fertility journey, because that's so part of it is like already getting all of that out, you know, like I said, I think that's the benefit, is like you have time to prepare. even though you do have a lot of waiting, I think the benefit is like in the waiting, you have these things you can do to like be proactive, like nutrition and clean living and all these things that you guys are already doing.
Yes.
So
there's a book, I have to think of what it is. I'll send y'all a picture, but it's literally like how to prepare your body for pregnancy. It's like the coolest book. Ooh. It's like really pretty too, but
Real Foods for Pregnancy?
No, it was one that I hadn't seen.
Okay, yeah, keep going.
Before, but and then have y'all heard of The Beauty Chef?
No, but
gosh, I feel like y'all
I like the
like my I'm like obsessed with it. It's so this lady her name's Carla Oates, but she lives in Australia and she healed her whole family's skin issues like rosacea, eczema from healing their gut from the inside. So she's created these like fermented liquids and powders that like change your skin because it's changing your inside.
That is so cool.
What? So I was on like the big medical median kick with like the celery juice. I did it for like 10 months. Well, I mean, I juiced way more than that. Kathy helped me with my nutrition plan, like post chemo and stuff. But she sells it in like pack, like you can order it.
Yeah.
Is it like a smoothie or something? Like, is it?
You can like put it in just water. It like tastes good because there's like fermented berries and things like that.
Yeah. I need something good.
Yeah. I feel like I will love it. It's just amazing. But I don't know if you can use it during pregnancy. That's the hard thing. Yeah. I feel like that's going to be my new next journey, just knowing that.
What's safe and what's not. Yes. I'll send you a book too that's been helpful for me and like what's safe and what's not.
Is it the Better Baby book?
Yes, I like that one. And then Expecting Better.
Ooh, okay. Too. Amazing.
But about the skin thing, okay, this is crazy. This is kind of jumping to your twin, but so Sarah got diagnosed and we found out she had cancer and all of us were just like surprised and floored. Yeah. And during it, I was moving and had 2 kids. Like it was a lot of stress for me. And I was so shocked. It was like the day after Sarah got diagnosed, my face broke out in the shingles.
Oh, no.
Isn't that crazy?
It was like your body was like physically reacting to like the emotional trauma she was feeling.
Oh, yeah. It was like a physical representation of the trauma. And I still have scars, that I struggle with. But it's just such a crazy thing. It was like one of those, like my body was feeling the trauma and stress for her. And it's just such a crazy thing. But I'm excited to check that out because.
What is it called? The Beauty Chef?
The Beauty Chef. Yeah. On that note, my sister, this is when I was in the hospital. I don't know if this is in the book, but they were trying to save my eye for like, I don't know how long, a week or so. And her eye was twitching constantly for that specific week. And then when they made the decision to like remove my eye, her eye like immediately stopped twitching.
Yeah, and I believe it.
Blows my, and sometimes she'll call me and be like,
I'm gonna cry.
Oh, are you having like, I know it makes me cry too. She's like, are you having like
legit crying?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Pregnancy hormones.
I just feel that though. Like, I feel like she was feeling that for you. That's too much.
And she like sometimes will call me and be like, are you having like trouble with your eye today? Or is it like really dry? Because my eye won't stop twitching. I'll be like, yes. And she's like, okay, I thought so because this is happening. I'm like, that is so weird. Like it's so wild.
So wild. Okay. So one thing on that, we've had, since we announced this podcast, we've had a lot of like strangers being like, oh my gosh, tell us about being twins.
Yeah.
And, Kathy, we were talking about the twin thing recently and somebody told me, hey, did you know that when twins are in the womb, they start interacting with each other at 14 weeks? No. Amanda told me that. Yes. And I was like, that is so, I think it was like 10 or 14 weeks. It was like young, but they start like, they have video of twins on ultrasounds when they're like interacting with each other.
I like,
oh, that's cool.
I know. Chills all over my body.
Chills. And then also, this is a side note with like the twin vibe. I don't know if you and your twin have this, but Kathy was like had a lot of morning sickness with John Ryder, my son, in there. Can't believe it. Okay. And I was like legit had morning sickness. I would call her and be like, I just feel like I was like, I don't know if it's COVID. I feel like super queasy. and I would eat something and it would go away. And like the week that she kind of got over the hump of morning sickness, like I was fine.
Isn't that cool though?
My doctor was like,
it's
take
so
a pregnancy
cool.
test. I'm like, no, I'm not pregnant off your uterus.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like the twin vibes are like real.
Yeah. I wonder if I would have felt that. My sister had like a lot of morning sickness too. I wonder if I would have felt that if I was like in the same place as her, or like, you know?
Yeah. Because I don't know if we had that, because we were both pregnant at the same time with her first, my second.
Yeah.
So it was hard to know if because we were literally just weeks apart in our pregnancy, which was really fun.
Amazing. Oh my
And
God.
your twin, does she have?
She has 2 little girls. So Kate's 4, and then Belle's a year and a half. Oh, she'll almost be 2 in the summer. But I have learned so much through her. I'm like,
it really does.
Grateful that you kind of like went ahead of me.
Seriously, Kathy, I don't know if like, I feel like for us, like when we were little, like I was the shy one and she was the outgoing one. And so I'd always make her go first. Like if Kathy came out alive.
I was you. I was shy and she was outgoing. Yep.
I'm like, if Kathy came out alive, I'd be like, okay, I can do it now. But she had kids first. And I was like, I would call her. I mean, I was so happy to like, I think you can relate obviously with your twin, but like I learned so much with Kathy.
Oh my gosh. I'm like seriously so grateful, because I'm like, I think I would kind of like what you're saying, have no idea like what to expect.
Yeah.
None of us do. You know, we just kind of like have this thing that happens, and like one day at a time.
No, but I feel like, you know, she has a baby nutrition Instagram, and like they do like baby led weaning courses and stuff. So I feel like you know a lot about babies, way more than I do.
Yeah, but that started after I had kids. Like I was always into nutrition, but like that was like, people were like, well, wanted to know more about that, you know? It was like that helped that area. But
yeah, totally. Y'all have to send me those pages, or the Instagram pages.
For sure.
Follow them.
Well, you are wonderful. We've taken up a lot of your time.
Yes.
And we are so inspired by your story and the work you're doing with your foundation, and also your website and your clean living. We love all of it, which is why we reached out to you, because everything you do, we like it. We're into it.
I'm so inspired by you guys. I'm like, I felt like I was gonna get on here and just have like 50 questions for y'all, but I was like,
we asked you a lot of
so many questions.
Well, we'll have to keep up, and you guys will have to keep us up to date on your IVF journey, and we're just so excited for you.
Yeah, and ask us questions, or ask Kathy questions if you have questions on IVF. I mean, I was like pleasantly surprised with our experience, but it's also like, it's kind of a wild experience.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're just like so in awe of you, and we're recording this. So guys listening, we're going to put Lauren's book, her home tour, her clean living, favorite CBD products. You have some great recipes. We're going to put all that in the show notes to this episode.
Y'all are so sweet.
But hey, I want to leave you with the last word. Okay, so we're going to wrap up because we've taken way too much of your time. But for the people listening, the women listening, we actually do have some male listeners. Okay, but the most for the people, the women listening that maybe like are in the pit of it, like maybe like the thick of hardship, like what advice or maybe like sliver of hope would you give them? Leave us with some truth.
I love that. Well, there are a few things. I think pain doesn't last forever, and there's so much beauty that you'll just start to see in your pain. Also, I feel like our motto as a family was to take 12 hours at a time, even like mentally, like thinking about the future, because that just causes like fear and anxiety and so many things. So just take 12 hours at a time, celebrate the little victories, even if it's like I stood up today or whatever it might be. And just believe in yourself. I feel like you can do so much more than you know, because think about if someone tells you what you're about to go through and you're like, no way. But when you're in it, you do it, and you come up better, stronger, and
That's great. It's perfect. It's great for anybody, like whether you're in a cancer journey or have had a surprising tragedy like you, or even in IVF, you know, a lot of that. So
So many ups and downs. And I love
IVF. Oh, sorry. I just totally interrupted.
No, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was gonna say, like, I think it's so important to have like a really positive outlook, and like, I don't know. I feel like there's so many people that get very stressed about it. Yeah. But I think the same like applies to that, where it's like, thank you so much, God, for this like opportunity to do this, and like this insane like chemistry that's happening to like help these little lives. And I don't know, even like any bump in the road, or like, I don't know, there's just so much goodness ahead, but I feel like you have to really believe that. And like,
so true.
Babies will just bring more joy to your life, but just remember the joy you have now in your life, you're just going to add on to it. It's not going to like fulfill your life,
Right. It's so important. It's so important, because I do think in the waiting, sometimes we miss the good stuff.
Yeah. That's such good perspective. I love the 12-hour rule. I'm going to like totally use that. But IVF, speaking of what you just said, I always say, thank you, God, for science, because I mean, it's really incredible. And we've just like, we're in awe of our experience every day, and we're going to be thinking of y'all's. And thank you for leaving us with some truth. And you're amazing. I feel like you're like our new best friend.
Oh my gosh. Thanks for having me on. I feel the same. And I'm so excited for you guys. There's like a sweet little baby in there.
No.
Yes. Crazy.
Say some prayers. We have our 20-week ultrasound on Wednesday. So it's like a big hump. It'll be great. Yeah.
Lauren, thank you so much. We so appreciate it.
It like cut, or y'all paused for a while. Sorry.
No, you were like frozen a little bit, and then we were frozen. Zoom is always like, I feel like we've done good. Usually my Zoom is like not happening, but okay. But thank you so much for doing this. We're going to follow up with you via email.
Awesome.
And also, if you feel comfortable giving us like a business address, we'd love to send you like a little thank you.
Oh my gosh.
As
I'll
a
give
side.
our address. I don't care at all.
Okay. Yeah, we're like good people. We won't care. I want to say thank you.
Y'all gonna send me something crazy? I'm just kidding.
Definitely.
Something dangerous.
We won't send you like glitter bombs or whatever those are.
I feel like that'd be a good one.
Jason opens it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I hope y'all have the best day.
Thanks. You too, Lauren. Have a good one. Thank you so much.
See y'all later.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
I gotta do this right here. Stop. Yeah. Oh.